Okay fellas, so I'm finally able to get out and we're finally able to do the casting impressions video for the MGTI Elite, which is Kastking's latest flagship reel. And it's going to be a pretty good test because I don't know if you can hear or see, but it's very windy today. It's a constant wind coming in from my left to my right, and it's really going to test out this braking system, which brings me to something I want to correct. Now, in the unboxing video, I stated that this braking system from Kastking, what do they call it, the Vortex Elite or something like that, I stated that it was a static system with no moving parts, but I was wrong. This is actually a dynamic magnetic brake system, and I'm going to do a separate little short video showing you exactly how it works because it's pretty unique. But anyway, I have the MGTI Elite mounted on my 6'8" medium JDM Shimano Bantam rod. It looks pretty damn sick with the black and silver. I got my usual bright yellow 10-pound testing mono. And of course the spool is filled up pretty much all the way to the top. And we're going to start off with a 1/2 ounce walking top water lure. So of course that means we're going to set this spool tension up. And that means I'm going to back it off. And then I'm going to tighten it up to maybe have just a little bit of side-to-side play, as that's my preference. Of course you can go tighter if you want, but I want to let these brakes do everything. All right, so I have just a little bit of side-to-side play, and we're going to start off with the brakes on maximum, which is the number 10 on this little window. And this brake dial, wow, out in the sunlight, it looks extremely good. All right, here we go. So I'm not going to cast directly into the wind. I'm going to cast out this way. So the wind is going from my left to my right, pretty strong. But here we go. Okay, so very quiet, very smooth, but the lure of course didn't go that far. Now of course the big deal about this MGTI are the very exotic aerospace materials that they used to create this reel. Magnesium frame, carbon side plates, but the highlight is the fully titanium spool, which of course, if you watch the unboxing video, you'll know that because it's fully titanium, they can machine it very thin, much thinner than you would an aluminum spool. So it allows you to get a very, very lightweight spool, but with much more strength than aluminum. All right, let's do an overhead cast. All right, so far no issues, which is as to be expected. The brakes are pretty much locked down. So now let's go down 2 settings to number 8, which was like 4 clicks. Once again, this brake dial window, or this brake dial out here in the daylight, it looks awesome. All right, here we go. All right, so spool got a little bit faster, a little bit freer casting. Probably got an extra 5 to 8 feet of distance. So yeah, the casting, once again, very smooth and quiet. And then burning in this lure, the smoothness of this Kastking is definitely up there. Boom. So that was the longest cast yet, an overhead, but cranking in this topwater, even though it's, you know, a low effort lure, it feels like a mixture of DAIWA and SHIMANO. in between the two. It's got the glassy rigidity of a DAIWA, but the knobs have that very sticky softness of a Shimano Septon knob. So casting into the crosswind, no problems. No problems at all so far. All right, let's cast directly into the wind. Look at that. Keep in mind, we are still on a high brake setting, but zero problems casting into this. I would say about at least 10-mile-an-hour wind coming straight into me. Boom, look at that. But wow, I can definitely confirm that Kastking definitely fixed their handle tolerance issues. And we have a very, very refined, smooth, and solid retrieve. All right, we're gonna do an overhead into the wind. The wind has kicked up. Let's see what happens. Boom, nothing. Nothing happened at all but a perfectly smooth cast. We're getting probably about 80 feet. Let's cast over this way. Almost made it to that structure of trees over there. They're draining this lake way earlier than I anticipated, but oh well. Let's go down 2 clicks to number 7. All right, here we go. Okay, boom, that was about close to 40-yard cast with an easy sidearm. And I'm burning this reel in. And let me do it again. All right, so I'm burning the reel in. And you hear nothing. There's no loose tolerances, no parts clicking and clacking against each other. It is just very solid, very quiet, very refined. And that's what you should expect from a flagship reel. But with this MGTI Elite, of course, it's not a flagship price. All right, we're gonna go down one more setting, 2 clicks to number 6. Here we go. Pow. All right, had a little backlash, my fault. I was looking at the spool instead of the lure. Didn't stop it with my thumb. But yeah, retrieving this lure, it is so smooth and refined. Even with some of my Shimanos that are in this price range, let alone DAIWAs, when you're burning in a lure, you hear a bunch of clickety-clackety noises of loose tolerances, but not with this MGTI Elite. Here we go. We'll do one more overhead. Pow. So we're getting at least 40 yards and the spool is perfect. No overruns. So that means we can go lower on the brakes. 1, 2. So we went down 2 clicks and on the window it says 5. All right. Hopefully you guys saw, but had some overrun on the spool. And I can tell you this is a free casting reel, meaning I don't feel that parachute effect that I feel from a lot of other reels that have magnetic brakes, where at the very tail end of the cast it just shuts off. It seems like this cast wants to keep going. Here we go. Boom. Okay, that was a perfect cast. So maybe the lure flew through the air a little bit straighter, but that was at least a 45 to almost 50-yard cast. Should we go lower? We'll go lower one more click. So that means we're at 4.5. Now, someone commented in the unboxing video that this reel felt overbraked, at least to them. To me, I'm not feeling it. It's a very free casting reel. Here we go. Ooh. Bad cast on my part. Had a little bit of overrun. Nothing too bad. But I'm kind of holding back on some of these casts because I'm afraid that this lure is too heavy for the line. It's going to snap off. Let's try sidearm. All right, sidearm didn't go that well. So we are definitely roughly past the limit of the lowest brake setting we should be at. But we were able to dip into its braking over halfway. With a, I guess, normal type mag track style system, all the ones I've tested with reels like AIBO or LEWS, you could probably get down to, I guess, 3/4 of the brakes before the spool would start to blow up. So I just clicked the brakes back up to 5. Ooh, had some overrun, which to me, I'm fine with. I can live with that, but if these overruns would scare you, should be an easy fix. Go up 1 click to 5.5. Boom. There you go. All right, so let's do something real quick. Let's test out this massive drag star that I'm a big fan of. And let's see if we can, of course I wouldn't be doing this normally with a topwater lure. But yeah, taking my ring finger, just plopping it over, and massive drag star, arms pointed in with the extensions sticking out. So basically, one-handed lure twitching confirmed. Now, one thing I wanted to mention, this reel holds a lot of line. I'm gonna go to 5. This reel holds a ton of line. The spool is deep. Let me try to get a long cast in and show you how much line is left. Boom! Did you guys see where that landed? That was well over, shoot, that was well over 50 yards. But that is how much line is left. It didn't even cast half the line off, and I think I'm gonna get stuck. All right, I chipped a bunch of paint off, but oh well. So casting so far has been very impressive. I don't feel that these brakes are too much. I don't feel it's choking off any kind of distance. As you can see, we're clocking over 50 yards on some of these casts. So very impressed with this MGTI. Of course, since it's built on the Kestrel platform, the frame and the shape is very comfortable. My thumb fits right at the top here, this little recessed area. Lightweight, low profile. All right, we'll do one more and then I'm gonna change lures. Pow. So yeah, once again, in my opinion, these, I don't even know how you would explain them. These brakes that have the magnets that go all the way around the brake hub, they cast a lot better than the magnetic brakes where the magnets are just on one side. The feel is completely different. They almost feel like centrifugal brakes. Okay, I said one more and I did another cast. All right, guys, so to end this test off, I'm gonna put this reel through an extremely difficult test. We're gonna cast this spinnerbait directly into the wind just to see what happens. So of course the spinnerbait's got a couple of blades, kind of got a jig with the skirt. It's got a bent wire, so it's gonna catch a whole lot of wind. And for this, I'm gonna put the brakes to 8. All right, wind's kind of died down, just picked back up. But let's see what happens. All right, I could feel the wind catching and stalling the spinnerbait, but the MGTI Elite's brake system handled it no problem. Of course, distance not that great, but even though this isn't the biggest spinnerbait with the biggest blades, the MGTI Elite, even in this, what is it, 7.2 to 1 gear ratio, is pulling this spinnerbait through the water no problem at all. And the retrieve remains rock solid, glassy smooth with that touch of Shimano butter. All right, let's try to put some more effort into these casts. Nope, still the wind is catching it and causing the lure to stall mid-flight. Could be the brakes too, so I'm gonna go down one setting or 2 clicks to number 7. All right, there we go. Got considerably more distance and no problems. No spool problems or line problems at all. All right, let's try an overhead. All right, I guess my knot wasn't good enough because the lure broke off. Luckily, I didn't explode the spool, but you saw it land over there. And on that note, I am quite impressed with this MGTI Elite. Even with the small spool of 30 millimeters, with that topwater lure, it was launching some cast into the 50-yard range. Brakes are perfect. They're not too strong, not too weak. This reel is definitely going to be beginner friendly, even though it doesn't have a beginner friendly price. But then a more experienced angler will be able to turn the brakes down quite a bit to access its performance. And then the retrieve is extra impressive. Once again, Kastking has solved their issues, and this is a top quality feeling reel, and I'm probably going to use it for jerkbait fishing this coming winter. So I'm going to leave a promo code pinned at the top of the comment section if you want to get you one of these MGTI Elites, and thanks a lot.